Good morning, my dear students. This is Sandhya Rani D, Assistant Professor of Botany, Maharani Science College for Women, Mysore. Today, let us discuss about recombinant DNA technology, your first topic in genetic engineering, which is rDNA technology. The methods, we will be going through the different steps or methods in rDNA technology in detail. First of all, we will start with the definition. Now, what is rDNA technology? What do you mean by recombinant DNA technology? The definition goes like this. It is a technique used in genetic engineering. A technique used in genetic engineering that involves the identification, isolation, and insertion identification, isolation, and insertion of what? Gene of interest. Identification, isolation, and insertion of gene of interest into a vector such as a plasmid or a bacteriophage to form a recombinant DNA molecule and production of large quantities of that gene fragment or the product encoded by that gene. So, what is the definition? It is a technique which is used in genetic engineering, and this technique involves identification, isolation, and insertion of gene of interest, any gene which we want, into a vector. Vector is a carrier. This vector can be a plasmid or a bacteriophage. Plasmid, or there are many more. Plasmid, bacteriophages, and all can be used as vectors. So, first, what we are going to do, we are taking the gene of interest and incorporating or inserting it into the vector gene, plasmid gene or bacteriophage gene. Now, this becomes a recombinant DNA molecule. So, recombinant DNA molecule is produced. And out of this, what we intend to do, we intend to produce large quantities of that gene fragment, the gene which we have inserted, the gene of interest. So large quantities of that gene fragment or the product produced by that gene, the product encoded by that gene, large quantities of the product encoded by that gene. So let me repeat again. The definition of rDNA technology is it is a technique used in genetic engineering that involves the identification, isolation, and insertion of gene of interest, our gene of interest, into a vector. Vector may be a plasmid or a bacteriophage to form recombinant DNA molecule and production of large quantities of that gene fragment or the product encoded by that gene. This is the definition of rDNA technology. Now let us have a look at the steps of rDNA technology. Step 1 is, as I told you, identification and isolation of gene of interest or a small DNA fragment which is having our gene of interest to be cloned. So first we are identifying and isolating the gene of interest or DNA fragment to be cloned. Cloning means what? Making multiple copies of this gene of interest or DNA fragment. Step 2 is insertion of this isolated gene in a suitable vector. Next, what we are going to do in step 2, we are inserting or incorporating this our gene of interest which we have already identified and isolated. We are inserting this gene into a suitable vector. Okay, vector, as I told you, may be plasmid, cosmid, bacteriophage, etc. Step 3 is introduction of this vector into a suitable organism. Mostly it is bacterial cell. So introduction of this vector into a suitable organism or cell called host cell. Into the host cell we are introducing the recombinant vector. So this step is called as transformation. Fourth step is selection of transformed host cell. After transformation, we need to know which is the transformed cell. So we are selecting the transformed host cell. And finally, our intention is to multiplication or expression of the introduced gene in the host. multiplication or expression of the introduced gene in the host. So now let us move on to the first step, that is identification and isolation of gene of interest. In recombinant DNA technology, from where do we get our gene of interest? There are different sources for getting our gene of interest, and this includes genomic library. There are libraries called genomic library, cDNA library, or by chemical synthesis of the gene. If we know the sequence, chemically we can synthesize the gene. If the number of copies of the desired gene is not enough for gene cloning, we can opt for gene amplification techniques like PCR. So in a PCR, which is polymerase chain reaction, so through that method also you can get many number of copies of the desired gene. So like this we can get the gene of interest, identification and isolation of gene of interest. Now to understand all these steps, let us take an example. Here we are going to introduce the human insulin gene into bacterium. So step 1, from the genomic library we have taken the human insulin gene. So left is the genomic library, from that we have taken one green colored piece. You can see there, that is the human insulin gene. As I mentioned, genomic library is a source from where we get our gene of interest. So step 1 is we have taken human insulin gene from genomic library. Step 2. Now we need to insert this human insulin gene into a suitable vector. Before that, we need to know something about vector. Now, what is a vector? Vector is any DNA molecule that has the ability to replicate inside the host to which the desired gene has integrated for cloning. So, vector is what? It is any DNA molecule which is capable of autonomous replication inside the host. Understood? So, by the autonomous replication of the vector, even our gene of interest will be cloned. Isn't it? Many multiple copies of the gene also will be made according to the plasmid copies. So, vectors are, examples of vectors are plasmids, bacteriophages, cosmids, BAC, yeast vectors, shuttle vectors, etc. So we will be dealing more about all this in our subsequent videos. So we must most often we are taking plasmid as our vector. So here you can see in the left white bacterial diagram, the E. coli diagram, you can see the plasmid, red color circular plasmid. Plasmid is our vector here. Plasmid is, so most often here we are taking plasmid as our vector. Plasmid is extra chromosomal DNA present in bacteria. So you can see here on the left hand top corner an E. coli bacterial cell, white colored one, a rectangular white colored E. coli bacterial cell, inside which there is a circular red colored plasmid. So this plasmid we are going to take as our vector. The plasmid means what? It is an extra chromosomal DNA present in the bacterial cell. DNA will be having its own nucleoid which is there as a thin strand. Apart from that, here there is an extra chromosomal DNA in the form of plasmid. So this is E. coli bacterium here. We have isolated the plasmid. Circular one has come out. See, we have isolated the plasmid from the E. coli bacterium. This circular one is the plasmid vector, and the green straight line is the gene of interest, human insulin gene. So you can see the plasmid as vector and human insulin gene. First of all, we need to make a cut in the vector using a restriction enzyme. So we need to make a cut in the vector using a restriction enzyme. And cut also has to be made in the human insulin gene, the DNA fragment containing human insulin gene. We have to take out only the gene with the help of restriction enzyme. Restriction enzymes means what? Restriction enzymes are enzymes that are capable of making internal cuts at specific sites in the DNA molecule. So we also call them as molecular scissors, means they are capable of making cuts at specific sites, at definite regions in the DNA molecules. So the restriction enzyme makes a cut in the plasmid and also in the DNA fragment having human insulin gene. So same type of cut with staggered ends. It makes cuts with staggered ends in both the pieces of genes. So we made cuts in the genes using restriction enzymes. Same restriction enzyme is used to cut the gene of interest also and the plasmid vector also. Next step is we have incorporated our insulin gene down the last picture. We have incorporated our insulin gene into the vector. The cut ends of the gene has to be sealed with another enzyme called as ligase. Ligase is commonly called as molecular glue or gum. So this step is called as ligation. So restriction endonucleases are enzymes which are called as molecular scissors which cut the DNA at specific sites. Similarly, ligase enzyme is called as molecular glue which binds or joins the ends, staggered ends, and this step is called as ligation. Now we have the recombinant DNA molecule or the chimeric DNA. Recombinant DNA molecule is a DNA molecule in which DNA from different sources, which has DNA from different sources. So I repeat, recombinant DNA molecule is a DNA molecule in which DNA from different sources are combined together. We can see right here we have a recombinant DNA molecule with human DNA and bacterial plasmid DNA mixed together. So recombinant DNA molecule is just a recombined DNA molecule from different organisms. Recombined DNA molecule from different organisms. So step 2 is over. We have inserted our insulin gene into a vector. Now, coming to the third step, introduction of this vector into a suitable host. There are different gene transfer methods by which we can introduce our vector into a host. These are some of the methods: the physical methods, chemical methods, and DNA imbibitions by cells, tissues, or organs. The physical methods are electroporation, microinjection. Through all these methods, we can introduce the recombinant DNA into the host cell, the bacterial cell, say for example. Electroporation, microinjection, liposome mediated gene transfer, silicon carbide fiber mediated gene transfer, ultrasound mediated gene transfer, DNA transfer via pollen. The chemical methods are polyethylene glycol mediated gene transfer, PEG mediated, calcium chloride mediated, and DEAE dextran mediated gene transfer. Or certain cells like bacteria are capable of taking up gene from the surroundings. So this process is called as transformation. Now we have our insulin gene incorporated into vector. Now we need to introduce this insulin gene into a host. Most often the host is a bacterial cell as it is simple to manipulate. And we know E. coli bacterium very well as already much work has been done on it. So we have introduced our vector with our gene of interest into the bacterial cell, right side. Bacterial cell, the white rectangle is the bacterial cell. So we have now a genetically modified E. coli, Escherichia coli bacterial cell with our insulin gene inserted inside the vector. So step 3 is over. The process is called as transformation. The process is called as transformation, or genetically modified E. coli with our insulin gene. This is a transformed cell, bacterial cell. Step 4. After step 3, we will be getting 3 types of colonies. The first type, which is non-transformed bacterial cell without any change. This doesn't have the plasmid at all, so there is no change. It has not uptaken the plasmid. The second one is transformed bacterial cell with unaltered vector. That means the vector doesn't have our gene of interest. So this is also useless for us. Now the vector is there. The second one, vector is there. The cell has transformed but without our gene. And third one, finally, the transformed bacterial cell with recombinant vector. So this is the one which we want. This is the cell that we need to take, and this is the colony we need to select, and we need to select these particular colonies from the rest. Majority of colonies belong to these first 2 groups. There are different ways by which we could select these, the third category. Maybe by growing in antibiotic resistance in selective medium, or this gene growing in antibiotic resistance means along with the gene of interest, they would have also incorporated an antibiotic resistant gene in the plasmid. So this bacteria will now have in the plasmid an antibiotic resistance gene also. So they can grow these cells in a selective medium with that particular antibiotic. Those cells which grow there are the transformed cells. They grow there because they don't die of the antibiotic. They can survive even in the antibiotic medium because they have a gene already in them by which they can resist the antibiotic stress and still grow on that media. And then they may also be selected by these such type of cells may also be selected by this gene may be coding for some characters. This our gene of interest may be coding for some characters which are visible. So by seeing those visible things, the colonies can be selected. Or maybe if it is an enzyme, we can add some substrate by which a color appears. So that is also a marker. So in some colonies in which we will be having our gene of interest, or color appears in colonies in which we will be having our gene of interest, or maybe by colony hybridization or blotting test, etc. So these are all the methods by which we can select our transformed cells, transformed bacterial cells. Final step is multiplication or expression of the introduced gene in the host. So as I mentioned in the first slide, our intention is to make as many copies of that particular gene, or make that gene product to be synthesized inside the bacteria. Now concentrate only on the left side. So now we have genetically modified E. coli with our insulin gene. And these plasmids will replicate inside the host. And these bacteria will also replicate, making millions of copies of this particular gene. So our first intention is achieved. We have our gene of interest produced in millions of numbers. Now come to the right hand side of this slide. Actually, our intention was to synthesize insulin inside E. coli. So this is what is happening. This E. coli gene will be transcribed. You can see there, it will be transcribed and translated. Later, protein produced is synthesized inside the bacteria. So transcription, all this is called as expression. So expression is happening. That is, insulin is being synthesized inside the bacterium. Now, by recombinant DNA technology, insulin is synthesized. Name of that insulin is called as humulin. human insulin, humulin is being synthesized by recombinant DNA technology, rDNA technology, where we are using the same procedure. We are making bacteria as big biofactories to synthesize human insulin inside. So we need to culture this in large scale for getting large scale production of insulin. So these are the steps. So till here, these are the methods in recombinant DNA technology, or the steps in recombinant DNA technology. Now just I'll brief you about some of the vectors. The 6 major types of vectors can be used in rDNA technology. The plasmid, which is circular extra chromosomal DNA, as I showed you in my slides, that autonomously replicates inside the bacterial cell, or phage or viral DNA, linear DNA molecules derived of bacteriophage lambda phage, that can be used. And there are vectors called cosmids, there are bacterial artificial chromosomes, there are yeast artificial chromosomes, human artificial chromosomes. All these types of vectors can be used in rDNA technology. Then the devices used in rDNA technology: recombinant centrifuge, chromatography, electrophoresis, ELISA, PCR, all these are devices of recombinant DNA technology. Centrifuge is when we lyse the cell or break open the cell to isolate the DNA, we centrifuge it. The new solid DNA will settle down at the bottom. Chromatography is an important biophysical technique that enables the separation, identification, and purification of the components of a mixture for qualitative and quantitative analysis. And electrophoresis, gel electrophoresis is a technique used in rDNA technology for the separation of fragments of DNA on the basis of their size. So some thin bands will be moving very fast in the gel electrophoresis, agarose gel electrophoresis. Some bigger bands will be moving slowly. So based on this, we can separate the fragments based on their size. And ELISA is for the confirmation, quantitative determination of proteins, peptides, antibodies, and hormones. So to identify DNA or RNA of the disease agents, etc. Also, its application is that is also one more application. Then the PCR, it is a device used for making copies of DNA, clones of DNA. Then the applications of recombinant DNA technology. There are several applications, like application, the 3 important ones here listed are applications in crop improvement, application in medicines, and application in industries. These are the 3 important applications of rDNA technology. So as you all know, rDNA technology is used in all fields: in agriculture, medicine, genetics, forensics. The biomedical applications are in cancer treatment, genetic diseases, diabetes, etc. Even for the plant disorders like viral and fungal resistance, etc., herbicide resistance, etc., rDNA technology, insecticide resistance, and all rDNA technology is used. The advantages of recombinant DNA technology: quantity production of complex proteins or peptides which cannot be made by other methods. Produce organisms which produce useful products such as bacteria creating insulin. Removal of need to use extracts from mammalian organs. So there is no rejection. So earlier they were using mammalian organs for extraction of insulin and all. So now there is no need for all that. All these are the advantages of recombinant DNA technology. Coming to conclusion, rDNA technology is an important development in science that has made human life much easier. In recent years, it has advanced strategies for biomedical applications, as I told you, such as cancer treatment, genetic diseases, diabetes, and several plant disorders, especially the viral and fungal resistance. So, these are the references, the textbooks which you all can refer. Thank you.